Draymond Green, who I led the show off with, who I think is the most overrated player in the history of basketball. But anyway, he got fined $50,000 for yelling betting spreads at referees. I didn't see it and hear about it because I've been moving around, but I wanted to bring this full circle. Smitty, you got context to this?
No, I mean, I saw this video. This was at the end of the game. Was this 3? Maybe it was like the end of the game. The game's pretty much over, and then I think he was just trolling the refs or something. And this quote right here, 5.5. I know what y'all doing. Like talking about the point spread. So I don't know if he's insinuating that they're doing something on purpose to like help the spread or manipulate the spread, but he got fined for it.
This is why I want to bring this full circle with Steve. Steve. Pete Rose getting inducted into the Hall of Fame the other day is the biggest slap in the face in the history of my lifetime.
That hasn't happened yet.
Right. I don't believe he's eligible till 27 for the hearing, which is crazy. If you're going to release him, at least make him an instant Hall of Famer then. Like, it's a slap in the face. And then you let all these other old cats, 100-year-old Shoeless Joe in and all this shit. But aren't these guys getting suspended every year for betting, for some sort of betting scandal? NFL, NBA, Porter's brother in the NBA. We got three receivers in the NFL have been suspended for multiple games, multiple times. And now all of a sudden this happens. But Pete Rose, the whole betting thing needs to just either be allowed or just your automatic lifetime ban, one or the other. But this is ridiculous for you to let Pete Rose in now when this shit is in our face every day in professional sports. And they're sponsored by DraftKings and FanDuel, Steve. Like, it's a joke. I don't know. Well, I want to get your take on Pete Rose more than Draymond Green, but
I wish they would have done this when he was alive. But again, his induction into Cooperstown is not guaranteed. Now, as far as I'm concerned, he needed to be in there. He's paid his penance. It's 35, 40 years nearly that he served whatever sentence or whatever you want to call it. He's now passed away. He won't even be able to enjoy the process. He'll have to go in posthumously. I just think if you look at the numbers Pete Rose put up, it's a legendary career. And I'll go a step further. Me and Whitlock talked about this yesterday. A Hall of Fame without him, A-Rod, especially Barry Lamar Bonds, Roger Clemens, to me, is not a complete Hall of Fame. Yep. You can say what you want, but there have been other players that we all knew were at least suspicious when it came to PEDs. We cannot be naive about this. So, when it comes to Pete Rose, there's still going to be writers, though. They're gonna have a hard line and say, no, he broke one of the cardinal rules of baseball: no gambling. So it's not a guarantee he's in there, Coach.
Oh no, I agree. I agree with you. I just it's 27. I'm reading right here. 27 is when he's actually they'll vote on it again, where he's back in the front of everybody. So I just don't understand the timing of it. Is all I'm saying. Like, it's ridiculous. He went on Brett Boone's show not too long ago and told him straight on his show, because Brett shared it yesterday and I saw it. He was like, "Oh, they'll put me in when I die." Like, he said it on his show. Crazy. But anyway.
By the way, as it relates to Draymond, I mean, I don't know if he's overrated. I've always asked people when I hear he's overrated, I said, well, how high do you rate him? I mean, I need to know. I've never thought of him as an all-time great. I think he's a very good defensive player. He's exactly what that team needs based on how they play the game, the other offensive players. Generally, your power forward has to be an enforcer. He's not going to get the ball. There's going to be no plays called for him. He has to pick up scraps, and he has to do a lot of the dirty work. I actually think Draymond's played that role very well. He guards the rim pretty well for a guy his size. Defensively, he battles. And now there is a downside to a lot of what he does, but you can't have too many guys who actually think that they're a primary option on offense. You have to be able to defer. I think Draymond's actually done a pretty good job at doing that for much of his career.
I just don't think when you're talking Hall of Famer, though, when Smitty and I argue about it, like,
that's a tougher one.
I got to translate. You got to be able to go to any team for me and be somewhat impactful as a player to be a Hall of Famer. He ain't going to Charlotte, Washington, Brooklyn, and being a guy. He's gonna be the guy we saw the last 4 games when they lost
would
4
be
in a row.
Impactful on any team, but yeah, you put him in a team that's like Charlotte, who's not that good. We won't. The impact wouldn't matter because they don't have the tools around him to be good enough. Just like if you put Ben
Hall of
Wallace
Famer then?
If you put Ben Wallace on a shitty team, he would make an impact, but that team would still be shitty. Like, to Steve's point, you need scorers, you need enforcers, you need all the pieces. Draymond by himself isn't some mega superstar, but we've seen the history of the sport where we had great defenders who did not score. Ben Wallace could not shoot. He did not score anything. He was a great defender.
Yeah,
great leader, and we know his impact. And he's a Hall of Famer. So I'm saying that's a prime example right there.
And I'm gonna be honest, like I believe the NFL is getting more laxed. Even Deion Sanders has said it, but other people have said it too. Like the NFL Hall of Fame criteria now has been way, mediocrity is the new excellence. Like I say, the NBA is the worst of all of them.
Well, it's the Basketball Hall of Fame.
Yeah, and that includes the international play.
International, college, even, I think.
Yeah, it's a little different. I mean, they include
I just think everybody gets in.
Win world championships.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit different, Coach.
Nah, it is. I just think anybody gets in. Everybody gets in.
I'm just saying, Draymond got 4 rings, Defensive Player of the Year, 9-time All Defense Team. That's going to play a huge role. I'm just saying, to anybody else that's similar to him, he's right there. Numbers wise.
I get it.
Points, everything. So
I get it. I just saw him without the star though for 4 games, and he couldn't stave off elimination just one time.
He's not a scorer. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I get it, but you got to be able to be a better player. Make your team better, homie. You're a Hall of Famer.
He did. They just wasn't good enough.
They look worse.
Dave Smith, the sports god. Shout out to him. He had taught me something about basketball. This guy knows basketball very well. Mm-hmm. And Dave Smith once said about a guy like Lamar Odom. If Lamar Odom is your best player, you're kind of a bad team. If he's your second best player, you're not as bad. If he's your third best player, you might be pretty good. But if he's your 4th or 5th best player, you have a chance to be really, really good. Because what Lamar did was going to be a compliment to every single other piece of that team. But if you're going to depend on Lamar to be a consistent 20 to 25 point a game scorer, that wasn't his role. And that's why Lamar was perfect as a 6th man for those really good Laker teams. But you saw what happened when he was a Clipper, and they said, be one of the 2 or 3 best players every night. It didn't fit him. He just was not great at that role.
I'm just looking at the stat lines and shit from this series right now, so I can't see you guys. But here's the thing, though. Julius Randle was arguably the MVP of this series. He dominated Draymond Green on the block, on the perimeter, every which way. And if you're a defensive stopper that's supposed to do your role, at least do your thing without Steph Curry, then at least eliminate their biggest threat in this series when Anthony Edwards had the worst series of his young career in the playoffs.
Well, that I don't disagree with. If he struggles defensively, that's his specialty.
Also, Draymond wasn't the primary defender on Randall. Draymond guarded multiple people. I watched the game.
But let me ask you this, Steve. I did too, Steve Smitty. But let me ask you this: Is Julius Randle a Hall of Famer then?
No, no one said that either. He's become a really good NBA player. People forget he was drafted by the Lakers. Right. I remember his first game. I think he broke his foot 5 minutes into it.
Ankle,
81 games. Yeah. But when it comes to all-time defenders, look, Draymond's effective. He's not Dennis Rodman. Rodman, at various points of his career, early on when he had stringy, twitchy legs, he could guard 1, 2, and 3. Then as he got a little bit bigger, a little heavier, a little older, he could certainly guard 4s. And if the team went small, he could neutralize a lot of 5s.
I just got to ask.
Can't do in this era.
The only reason I asked about Randall is like, and I'm being smart ass, but like Randall's a better basketball player. Like it's not even close, and he is never
skilled offensively.
And Steve, Steve, he'll never probably be on a team to win titles, so he'll never be in the consideration of a Hall of Famer.
He's on a team right now that can win a title. They're in the Western Conference Finals.
Okay, so again, has he sniffed a title yet? No. And my point is, he'll never be considered a Hall of Famer or even in the conversation, and he's a better basketball player than Draymond Green is. My point.
No, it's a different conversation. Man. Like, are we talking about
Draymond Green is sorry?
No, I'm saying, are we talking about, hey, let's meet outside on the court on the blacktop? Who's the best hooper? That's one conversation that's completely different. Because if that's the case, there's 1,000 players better than Rodman, 1,000 players better than Ben Wallace.
Oh, you're saying it's because of his team.
Team sport. We're asking about who's in the role. It's different conversation.
Version of Julius Randle was on the 2014-15 to the 2019-20, or even a couple years ago when they won it, the version of the Splash Brothers. Could Julius Randle sacrifice and be willing to take less shots to play the exact same role Draymond did. In other words, I'm never getting the ball in the post. They're never going to clear out for me. I can't put my hand up. They'll be like, yeah, set a screen. You're not getting the ball here. And then take on every single tough role, setting screens, getting in the way, butchering a guy when you have to. Can he really play that role? He's a better skilled player. There's no doubt.
I don't think
we are talking about a specific role on a
playmate
really
as well.
To that question, hell no. I agree with you.
Golden State. Like,
but here's the
offense, the point guard.
But I gotta only rebuttal. We'll move on. But only rebuttal I have is, so you're telling me then his team has made him a Hall of Famer. I didn't know the team criteria made you a Hall of Famer. I thought you were a best player.
That plays a role though.
But it shouldn't.
Like if Ben Wallace wasn't on the Pistons, I don't know for sure he's a Hall of Famer. I'm just being honest with you. Like,
I don't agree he is anyway.
I don't know.
I don't think Ben Wallace is anyway. That's me again though. So anyway.
If Dennis Rodman doesn't have that, I know he was really good with the Pistons, but that run with the Bulls is what really, really, really solidified him. I don't know I'm just saying, I don't like living in the world of what ifs. We don't know. Your team matters though. That plays a role.
Yeah. They always say, what about the rings he won? And wait a minute, that's not an individual stat. Right? To your point, Smitty, I see guys getting credit for being on championship teams, and I'm like, again, but this is not a team honor going into the Hall of Fame. See, I agree with you, Smitty. There are players that have been really, I don't say lucky, but they are key components of championship or dynasty type of organizations, and they get credrit for it.
I don't think Smitty even realizes how good Rodman was in Detroit, man. Smitty wasn't even around. He didn't even know. He didn't know when Isaiah got hurt. Rodman carried the fucking team. Draymond did it.
I don't know about that.
Steve. Smitty, hold on, Steve.
Joe fucking Dumars, right, Steve?
No, stop. By the way, Joe Dumars.
I'm a fucking basketball.
He keeps bringing up Joe Dumars, Steve. Hey, Steve. He brings up Joe Dumars, but he dismisses the fact that they traded for fucking KD and Jimmy Butler. It's funny how he dismisses those guys and brings up Joe Dumars.
Okay, that has nothing to do with Joe Dumars, but I mean, give me a break. Guys, Joe Dumars is one of the few guys that Jordan respected. Always played Jordan very, very
solid. Thank you.
Defense.
Thank you. Score. I love Steve. Because Steve comes in with zero emotions. Steve, he's not trying to like favorite. He's going to come in and just tell you what it is. Say, like, it's going to be stats, it's going to be facts. My co-host, he uses emotions. He gets all over the place. So that's why I love Steve Kimmel here.
Coach, the other thing about those Piston teams is a guy that I hated. He was dastardly. He was dirty. I think even dirtier than Draymond to us. Bill Laimbeer could play. People forget. He could score too. He's one of the original stretch fours. That guy had 3-point range. In today's game, he would be very effective spotting up because he could hit, he could pick, he could pop. And he couldn't really jump, but his ability or willingness to be dirty, he dissuaded a lot of people from coming inside that paint and going to the basket because they're like, you know what, I don't want to get hit across the face.
Right. So I'm just telling you.
Your credit. He was good.
Here's the thing. I specifically used to watch that team, that Detroit team, and I'm just going to be honest. If you look up the stat lines, they didn't win without Dennis Rodman. Joe Dumars was dispensable. Not Rodman. Rodman was the guy. I don't want to. Smitty keeps comparing Rodman to Draymond Green. It's not even fucking close. Rodman could score 45 points early in his career.
As the guy.
By the way, because there's not close.
And you said Rodman carried the team. I called Cap. He didn't carry
I
did not. Anyway.
Yeah, but here's the thing why Rodman could be Rodman. And I agree with you. But Coach, they had Adrian Dantley, who was a unbelievable matchup problem. 6'4", the best post guy, and he was the one guy the Lakers had a lot of. Then they traded for Mark Aguirre.
Yes.
So Aguirre, he was a multiple-time All-Star. And then you had Buda Edwards, quality big man, could have started for at least 15 teams in his era. Then you had Spider Sally, really good at his role.
Vinny.
So again, like if Rodman was supposed to be, let's say Rodman was drafted by another team, and they said, "Hey, you're the second best player, and you're going to get a lot of offensive touches." It would not have worked, Coach.
Thank you.
Steve. You're only Steve. We're moving on because Smitty doesn't tell the whole story. He doesn't tell the whole story. He kind of loves to miss that. All I said was, Draymond couldn't win one game to stave off the battle for the leader of the pack to return to win the war. That's all I started the show off with. One out of game. So they won game one in Minnesota. Steph gets hurt after that game. They lose 4 straight.
Well, let me ask you this.
He got hurt in the second quarter. That was the game Draymond won. He got hurt in the second quarter. He missed the whole game.
Steve, my point was
the game he won, actually.
Okay.
Bullshit.
Pipe down, YouTuber. Here's what I had to say. Dennis Rodman, Steve, as you know, when Isaiah went down in the playoffs that game, we had Joe Dumars, of course, and Adrian Dantley. Rodman won a game or 2 or 3 without Isaiah Thomas.
I don't remember in '88 saying, "Wow, Rodman."
Listen, I get what you're saying, but you know what? My point of this whole thing is without the star, the guy staved off elimination. Many other guys did. Draymond couldn't do it one time.
Oh no, you actually gave me ammo. The game Steph got hurt. He got hurt at the beginning of the second quarter. He missed the entire game and they won. So that's the game that Draymond they won. And then 2 games ago, they were fucking 2 plays away from winning. But again, you don't care about context.
Well, I have a question, guys. Who's a better player? Draymond Green or Pau Gasol?
Pau all day. Not even close.
Who's a better player?
Not even close. Not even close. Stop. Not even close.
Come on.
It's Powell, but it's hard. The reason why I'm thinking they're completely different players.
They are, but I'll say
completely
this:
different.
Pau Gasol could have been a 4th or 5th best player because he's a very unselfish guy. Kobe Bryant does not have rings 4 and 5 without the Spaniard. He doesn't. Yeah. His ability to play outside, post up a little bit. You can play high post. You can play screen roll. You could dump it into. And you know what? There's an argument when they beat the Celtics in 2010. Powell was pretty close to being the MVP of that series. He battled Kevin Garnett. High basketball.
Because the year before he got dominated by Garnett.
And I know inside, he was getting.
Well, no. That's 2008. Because 2009 they beat Orlando. And I tell you what, he had a lot of success against Dwight Howard, who was at the top of his game defensively.
Yeah,
I guarantee if Kobe Bryant was alive today, you asked him who's the smartest teammate you ever had, I would say Powell would be very close to being number 1.
Probably so. No, I love Powell. I'm not disrespecting Powell. Yeah.
And by the way, me going at Jimmy Butler is a whole nother show. Latrell in the chat. We already know he's a bitch. So anyway, let's move on.